will not be long till the stream starts, probably, guys. Just sorting everything out in terms of getting the stream into the chat, and then I'll get started with the introduction and all sorts. Just sorting everything out now. So, as we see everyone starting to ready up, you can get going. We've got about 3 minutes until the race starts now anyway, so we will ready up at. So we're going at 9:30. Just missing a couple of drivers, so we'll get going as soon as we can, everybody. In just under a minute, as soon as I see people ready up, I'll get started with the intro. And yeah, so not too long now, just a bit of downtime. So if you're watching this post race, just skip along a couple of minutes, and I'll be sure to get it going in just a moment. Obviously, I'll also be making a highlights reel for anyone who is interested. They'll be up on the channel as soon as I get it done. And yeah, hopefully you do enjoy the stream, guys. And yeah, so we're now up to 5 people watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, I'll be sure to get things started very shortly. Hey Andre, welcome to the stream, man. So I'm sure you all in APPF1 are very familiar with L2S, so pleasure to see you in chat. See you in chat, Mirieles. There we are. So someone has read it up, so I'll get started now. Hey there everyone, welcome to L2S Esports. We're here for round 5 here at the Circuit de Monaco. We're in Formula 2 cars though, something a little bit different and unconventional to what you see in normal league racing. But L2S, we're here for Monaco in F2 cars. One-shot qualifying followed by a 50% sprint race and then a 50% feature race in which the top 8 do get reversed. So it does make for some pretty interesting racing. We're obviously here at the Principality of Monaco, which could be very interesting to see how the racing pans out. It's not been too notorious for the best racing. We're here though, Circuit de Monaco, 3.337 kilometers, around about 2.074 miles, about 19 turns, a lot of famous corners. It's one of the shorter tracks in terms of lap time and also distance, but it is such a challenge to wrestle with the car around here. Any mistake and you find yourself in a barrier. A race lap record though of a 1 minute 14.260 set, of course, by Max Verstappen in 2018. Monte Carlo has been on the Formula 1 calendar since nearly the beginning, and in 2020 was the first time Monaco was missed since around about the, I think, early 1920s. It's been on the calendar for a while. Drivers of note though, DXSS, who I believe is joining us tonight. Be interesting to see if he is. He currently does lead the way in the standings though, 216 points to his name. Infamous currently sits second with 138. You can see there in the High-Tech Grand Prix car. Sarge though with 131, very close behind, and Lando a little bit close behind in fourth. Spooner with 116, Slayer with 103, Lauren, who won't be joining us tonight sadly, with 101, DC with 97, and Angry Orange with 92, and then GT with 92 as well. So they're both tied on points. This is going to be an interesting race then. We're getting underway very shortly. A one-shot qualifying followed by two 50% races, and the damage is on full. Drivers best be really careful of where they place their car. Set up on full, so they're free to tune and tinker about with the car settings, and the weather's on dynamic. Could we see a little bit of rain today to spice things up? All will be answered very shortly as we get underway for L2S Esports here for round 5, loading in then here for the Formula 2 Championship. CDM, no practice, this ain't going to go well. Well, hopefully it does go well, my friend. It would help greatly. But loading into a one-shot quali then, and getting ready to get it underway here at Monaco. Also, everyone in chat, be nice to see some of your predictions for today's race. Who do you think is going to go well? What are your predictions? How many DNFs do you predict in today's race? Hopefully not too many, but it is Monaco. Never know with the unpredictability of this circuit. You could be leading by 30 seconds and then that one little mistake, one little lock up, one little twitch on the rear end and you're gone, you're in the wall. And well, it's very costly. A mistake around Monaco is probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make. There's no runoff. So unforgiving is the Monaco circuit. And well, that's why it's earned its stripes as well, one of the most driver favourite. You're always on the limit and you're always running so close to the wall. It's one of the driver's favourites, but it doesn't produce the best of racing at times. But we do see quite a bit of action sometimes, similar to 2019 with Max Verstappen. But we'll go on board with CDM, who has got no practice, through Saint-Devote and up through is this Beau Rivage, up towards Beau Rivage, on the run into the Casino Square, chucking it in third gear. Then you can see really fighting the car and into Casino on the run towards Mirabeau. Royal Harvey though currently provisional pole. Lando with a provisional pole into Mirabeau, then 21.9 set by the High-Tech GP into the lowest hairpin, then the slowest corner on the calendar. First gear to get the rotation into the corner just before Portier, then in second gear, keeping it in second, third, bit wide then from CDM, who isn't getting the best run into the famous tunnel though. You can hear the car echoing the V6 turbocharged engine coming through then into the Nouvelle chicane. Very nicely done. First gear getting the straight line exit that he really needs there. Very nicely done from CDM. He finds himself up into P8 now, through into Tobacco, then next to the old tobacco shop, through the swimming pool chicane and chucking it then very nicely through there. Here he goes then on the run into Tobacco. Very short lap here at Monaco, through Rascasse then. We saw a very nice dive from Charles Leclerc in 2019 through the final corner, then nice run and a short run to the line. Needs to keep it as tight to the wall as he can. Lando pole with a 118.887, very nicely done then, and at 3/10 clear of the nearest competitor. So a 118.8, the only person into the 18s. A very good lap then from Lando Bot, the man in P4 in the standings and looking to find himself into the top 3. And he's got quite a few laps to try and control it. He's in the prime position, but Landobot on pole then on the super soft compound tyres here in the F2 cars. They are on some new profile tyres, testing them out for the Formula 1. So Royal Harvey as well in P2, Infamous P3, Central P4, in P5, Sarge in P6, CDM in P7, nice lap from him on the soft tyres though, so it'll be interesting to see where he finds himself towards the end of the race. Slayer in a P8, Fanatic in P9, Callum in P10, Spooner P11, DC in P12, John Banter P13, Beer in P14, Bolt in 15th, Aces versus Kings in P16, and Frenzy rounding off the grid with no time. We got a disqualified lap down in P17. We're going to head to the race now, and hopefully it's going to be a good one. Just while everyone is readying up and raring to go today, they're sorting out the last minute setups and the fuel strategy, the tyre strategy, negotiating with their engineers as to what they're going to do. So they could go long in the race, go for that important overcut where track position is so vital. You do not want to be making any extra pit stops than you need in today's race. So vital to keep track position. So I'm sure we're only going to be seeing the one stop in today's feature race. But who knows what could happen. There's soft tyre that's bolted on to... oh no, we're going straight to the lights, are we? It's lights out then, and away we go. Very quick start then, didn't even load in properly, but Landebot with a very good start, and that's Royal Harvey very squirmy then into Sandoval for the first time. 3 wide further back as Ian is looking to make his way up. He's already up the inside and up. Beau Rivage we go then for the first time. He's cleared Royal Harvey, who's had a very poor start, and on the back here they go then 2 abreast further back. Sarge and Central Flyway, and someone's round us. Sarge round, the man P3 in the standings sent round. There's a big traffic jam further back as everyone's trying to negotiate their way through the traffic, and it looks as though everyone's negotiating it really well side by side. Here goes DC on bolts up the inside. There's contact with Slayer. He sent him into the wall. Not the cleanest bit of racing then on his first lap. Everyone eager to get through, and he's brake checked Bolter into the lowest hairpin, looking up the inside. This is just completely unnecessary, and he's tapped the wall again, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of people thunder into the pit lane. But Landebot with a very commanding start, and Ian all over the back of Royal Harvey, who seems to have found himself back in front of the man. Bolter already retired from the session up the inside into the Novell chicane, then not quite managing to get it stuck. We've already lost a man in this race. It looks like there's a full course yellow. Is that going to be a safety car? Yes, it is. It's already a safety car in this race, guys, and that was quickly brought to a halt, but it brings the grid back closer together and allows the people who perhaps didn't have the best of starts to close back up. But not the cleanest of starts from everyone then, guys. So who isn't going to be piling into the pit lane? So far, Landebot into the pit lane, so the race leader into the pits. This is interesting then. What tyres is he going to go on to? It looks like he's going on to the red marked soft tyres to potentially the end. Can he take these all the way to the end, guys? This could be pretty interesting as he thunders out just into P11, maybe P10. No, Callum pips him to there, but he's already made a stop, so he's got the mandatory pit stop out of the way. Could he go to the end on these soft tyres? He's taken an early stop, he's bit the bullet. This has allowed Royal Harvey, Ian and Infamous to take the net race lead. Is this strategical genius? Or is it maybe a bit of a flunder? He's in the Prema car, run a little bit by Ferrari, so who knows, they could be doing their notorious strategy blunders. But Landebot made his provisional stop. He's going to be right in the mix of traffic before the safety car restart, and you can see their Infamous lining up just behind the safety car then. Is that Fred Mylander still in the safety car in the Mercedes, and even in F2 they do have to find a way to lead the race, but Infamous will lead him around then. He's on the super soft tyres. Everyone else on the grid seems to have come into the pits and put the red mark soft tyres on, so this is going to be pretty interesting to see how it plays out towards the end of the race. Lap 2 of 21. We've got 21 laps here at Monaco. So everyone else just lining up behind, waiting for that Central Flyway and Co further back to catch up onto the back, and obviously to clear the debris of anyone who's crashed. I believe it was Bolter who crashed earlier on in the race. But well, that's also Frenzy into the pit lane. Frenzy into the pit lane. He's going to be strapping on some red mark soft tyres. You can see the thinner profile of these tyres. They're a lot thinner, and the wheel rim is also a lot wider. So they're testing these out, of course, for F1 because they're interested in for the regulation change in 2022 to see how they'd perform. And it was a very big thing to adapt to in the 2020 Formula 2 season. And well, we saw Mick Schumacher prevail in real life. Who's going to prevail here in L2S Esports? We're on to round 5, so still a long way to go. But DXX has a commanding lead of 216 points. He's not with us today, I don't believe. So that gap is going to come down regardless. It is just down to the likes of Infamous and Sarge and Lando to close the gap as much as they can. But we'll see when we get the prompt. Great commentary, thank you, DJW, appreciate it, man. Cheers for checking out the stream, and I hope you do enjoy for the rest of what is looking to be a pretty spicy Formula 2 race. If you haven't seen the start while we're under safety car, go and have a look. It was pretty chaotic further back, 3 abreast into Saint-Devote, something that Jeff very ill advises you to do, but they did it anyway, and well, someone got worse off. There was a big traffic jam as if it was the A47, but just waiting for 2 more drivers. I believe it's Frenzy and John Banter to join us around and off at the back of this long snaky train we have here. Haven't just got the prompt for safety car in yet, so it looks like we're going to be going trundling around at some pace for a little while yet. Yep, going to get another lap led under the safety car. Oh, and that's Infamous into the pit lane, the race leader into the pit lane then. So Royal Harvey, after starting second, falling back to 4th on the first lap, finds himself leading the race. So Infamous into the pit lane then. This is going to be a pretty interesting strategy to see how this plays out. So he's off the supers, he's onto the softs, pitting then, and I'd assume to the end of the race. Sarge also into the pit lane to bolt the super soft compound tyres on, the purple striped super soft tyres on. No, he's bolting on the soft compound tyres and the red mark soft. Of course, so the entire field on this soft tyre, but they're going to be further down the grid than most people are in this race. This could be pretty interesting to see how this pans out. Again, strategy is always a big factor here at Monaco, because you get it that little bit wrong, you make that little mistake that you weren't mate to. James Chapman agreed, great comms and stream, appreciate it, man. My phone's lagging, so if you see me click off the race and it go to a blue screen, it's because I'm having to read the comments because my phone is deciding to be stupid. But anyway, I'll load it up onto my laptop instead. How about that? It might be a little bit of a better idea. Probably should have done that in the first place, shouldn't I? Well, here we are then, here at Monaco. We've got 8 people watching. Cheers for checking out the stream once again, guys. I do appreciate all the support. If you do, make sure to like, subscribe, all the jazz, spread my name out, whatever. It is greatly appreciated, and I do hope you enjoy the stream. Obviously, my first time here in L2S. Safety car in this lap, though. We're ready to go back under green flag racing. We're without a couple of people, though. It's a bit spread out further back, but Royal Harvey becomes the net safety car. He is the effective safety car. He drives the grid round while the safety car shoots off into the pit lane, but he is allowed to back up the pack all the way up until the timing line, where he's then he has to go. That's when the green flag's dropped. Let's see when he punches it. It looks as though he's punched it now. Has he? Yes, we're back under green flag racing. CDM round already, though, off the safety car restart. The cold tyres, he's pulling back out into traffic. Further up, though, we've got Ian, who's putting the pressure on the race leader, Royal Harvey, then, and it looks like that crash further back has caused a bit of calamity. Looks like the grid is pretty spread out. Here's Ian, though. Yellow flags already. Back to green flags now, though, as Ian on the way towards Casino Square. All over the back of the race leader. Bit of a wall tap, though. Bit of a lub tap with the wall, and Royal Harvey looking eager to command the race. This looks like Callum on the back, and side by side through Casino Square they go. Ghosted through him, though, and Landobot already up into P6 through in to Mirabeau then, and Aces versus Kings. Bit of a lock up from him. He's got Beer all over the back into the Lowe's hairpin. Not really an overtaken opportunity there in the Dams car, but they go then one by one through the hairpin. Really just going to be seeing a lot of trains today, I'm sure. But here's Beerus then all over the back. CDM has left the session, so I'm not surprised there. Cold tyres caught him out a little bit, unfortunately for him, but into the Nobel chicane then all over the back of him. Very easy to spin. They've got a 4-car train going on. Landobot, who was leading the race earlier, 3-second time penalty, and to the inside goes Beerus, maybe on Aces versus Kings. He's looking to get past the Trident driver, who is really under pressure now. He's got the KFC sponsored car all over the back of him into Raskastain. Can he go for a send? No, not quite. He really did put the pressure on. CDM did lag out. If you need an invite, mate, do let me know. But Royal Harvey setting the fastest lap of the race then, controlling the grid off the restart. Great restart then from him. But here's Beerus putting the pressure on Aces versus Kings. Down on to lap 6 into Saint-Devote for the 6th time, and this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. He's got a lot of pressure underneath, but to the outside, side by side through Beau Rivage they go. Here he is on the outside. Great bit of racing from these two to keep it clean. That is the case with F2 around the outside. He's just going to get forced out, though, by Aces versus Kings, who's really looking eager to hold on, but he set up a nice little cutback on the run into Mirabeau. Here he goes then up the inside. He's got the Trident on the outside. Great stuff then, and he muscles his way through after a great bit of wheel-to-wheel action then from Beerus. CDM, mate, what is your PSN? It looks CDM JW. I'll invite you now, mate. Give me just a moment. Guys, sorry for pausing the stream. I'll get right back to the action as soon as I can. Just need to give a driver a little bit of an invite. So, MJW. Hopefully, there you are. Right, there you go, mate. And here we are then, back to the racing. It looks like Landobot's eager to get past Aces versus Kings after Beerus did so a little bit earlier. But into the back then, he's had a great exit up the inside. Maybe, no, not quite. Going to have to sit station for the time being. Follow him through the swimming pool chicane. Great helicopter angle we have here of the guys running through these corners so quickly then. And he's also got central flyway all over the back of him in the UNI Virtuosi, piloted by Callum Ilott in real life. But here they go then. It looks like Aces versus Kings really has got a bit of a train on the back of him. Spooner, though, very wide. He's lost the position to Beerus up in front, who takes the podium place. And Spooner then, a bit of a mistake in his S&P racing car, and he's going to have to get back onto the back of him very quickly. But here's Landobot for P5. Is he going to replicate the move Aces versus Kings did a lap previously? No. He's going to have to sit station for the time being to the outside of Casino, really sitting behind him as it stands. But here's Spooner then. He's really lost his rhythm. He needs to recompose himself. To the outside of Mirabeau, never going to work surely. Aces versus Kings hanging on brilliantly, really parking it. CDM lagged out again, unfortunately, in this race. To the inside he goes then through the Lowe's hairpin, and not getting the run he'd want. He's got the UNI Virtual Racing car right behind him. And we've also got a bit of an interval glitch, unfortunately, so I can't really see what's going on. But hopefully we can get it done pretty soon for you guys. But here's Landobot then. He's lost a bit of time at two Aces versus Kings in front. Here's Aces versus Kings though on the back of Spooner, looking eager to put the pressure on. CDM back in once again. Hopefully he can regain control of his car very shortly. Looks like everyone's just holding station. Royal Harvey with a amazing lead, a sunken lead, eyeballing that. That's probably around about 2.5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds up in front. 3.3 seconds. So quick then is Royal Harvey, putting in the consistent laps and doing such a good job of it to control the lead of the race. And the man who was leading down further back, being held up by the Trident car in front of him. Here they go then, through into Sandovot for the 8th time of 21. We're a third of the way through the race. Here's Landobot with a great exit. Is he going to be close enough up the hill? No, doesn't look like it just quite on this occasion. Going to really just need to put the pressure on the Trident and just sit back, bait him into a mistake, show his nose on the inside, make him lock up, but he's not flinching as it stands. To the inside, back to the racing line. Great bit of defending from Aces versus Kings, who's looking to launch an attack on Spooner in front. Here we go then, nice little angle on the back of there. We can see Landobot really does struggle through the hairpin to get the power down, and uses a little bit too much curb than he perhaps would like. But all this attention and battling has caught the attention of everyone else, who's slowly starting to reel their way in further back. Here's Aces versus Kings on the back of Spooner. Is he going to be able to go for a move at the moment? No, not quite. Into the Nouvelle Chicane, so close under braking. Landobot really closing up as well, and through to back. Big slide then from Landobot. His heart definitely in his mouth. He's under pressure from Central Flyway, who's looking to get himself up the inside. Not on this occasion just yet, but yeah, needs to make the most of the mistakes like that and not get himself caught up in them. But Landobot, heart definitely in his mouth there, as he made one of the most, well, probably the most notorious mistake around the Principality. Bit of a slide out of the Nouvelle Chicane, very easy to do. DRS enabled, the rear wing flap opening to give the drivers an extra around about 20 kph of closing speed. Up the inside, bit of contact into Sandovot then for P4. This is a 4-car train. Spooner's touched the wall. To the outside goes Aces versus Kings. He's touched the wall as well. Landobot looking to follow his way through to the outside of Casino Square. That mistake has cost him not one but two positions, and so has Aces versus Kings. He's picked himself up a bit of damage. Landobot making the most of this. Up into P4 then. Great bit of racing, and Spooner's round coming out of Casino as well. Callum picks up a 3-second time penalty, but Spooner from P4 now down into P9, maybe even P10 if DC can put the pressure on. Around the outside he goes. Is that also CDM up into P10 as well? Wow. But Sarge then, after Spooner's mistake, finds himself on reverse grid at pole. Good bit of opportunistic motion there, but Spooner then, very easy mistake to do, as GT is into the pit lane for those super soft tyres. Maybe to the end, maybe not, who knows. Might have picked up a little bit of damage, but Aces versus Kings Maybe picked up a bit of damage. Flyway picking himself up. His first 3-second time penalty of the race, really putting the pressure on to Aces versus Kings once again. Landabot 2 seconds clear already, really using his pace to its full extent. Down the inside into Raskas. Can he set it up? No. He's going to sit behind as it stands for the time being. Try not to clip the rear right on that inside wall and into the pits. Comes Central Flyway then for his stop of the race. He's going for the nice little undercut. Use his pace in the clear air to try and catch up on to the back of Aces versus Kings. That's where you win the races here at Monaco. That's where you win them. It's also where you lose them, because if you have to make an extra pit stop, well, you're buggered. You're not getting your way through the field. This track hardly wide enough to go 1 wide, let alone 2 wide around the Principality. It's very easy to do. So the strategy does play a huge factor. Aces versus Kings already defensive to the outside. Goes Infamous. Can he get it stopped and try and set up an attack? No, he's just going to have to sit back again. The lowest hairpin where we saw Mehevir Raghunathan driving into the wall of the young, well, say young, he's about 26, of Jack Aitken in 2019. Not the best bit of racing from him, but Aces versus Kings sideways out of Portier to the inside. Can Infamous set it up? He's going to the outside. He's feeling brave. To the outside he goes, keeping him spinned on the inside. Late as he dares on the brakes around the outside, swoops around him, cuts the chicane, picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, and he's off the track. Does he have to concede the position? Well, Infamous, as late as he dared around the outside, tried to give him the space on the inside. Aces versus Kings tap on the wall. He's now got Sarge for company, and Sarge is looking eager to get himself up another position, I'm sure. Here he goes then, Sarge to the inside of Raskas, not quite going to be close enough, setting up a nice little cutback. If Aces vs Kings go deep, Aces into the pit, and Landabot flying pace, then he goes purple, the 21.5, nice bit of racing from him. He's setting nice consistent lap times to try and keep with the lead drivers. Let's see how that pans out for him in his Prema car. Bolt has joined back the session, maybe to give us a bit of spectating in this race. But Central Flyway then up into P9 after pitting. He's managed to get the undercut to work on Aces vs Kings. So nice bit of strategical work there from the UNI Virtuosi boys. Good stuff from the guys back at the factory. Calling a very nice strategy then to get the job done in the pit lane, using his pace under the green flags. But the 7 people watching, I want to hear your thoughts on the race. What are your thoughts so far? We've got a bit of a big field spread. We've got Frenzy on the back of John Banter to the outside, around in to Sandoval. It looks like John Banter just conceding that one. But if you are watching the stream, guys, what are your thoughts on the race as it stands? Let's have a bit of a chat in this downtime. Well, let's hear what your thoughts are, your predictions maybe for the reverse grid sprint race in a few moments' time. We're halfway through the first feature race. We got a bit of a field spread. Rural Harvey leads the way, 5.5 seconds clear of Ian. Now that's extending up to nearly 6 seconds clear of Ian MC. Let's see how this pans out for the rest of the race. Landabot as well, charging with his 3-second time penalty, but his genuine pace, pole by 3 seconds. He's really trying to command this race, and hopefully when he comes into the pits in a moment's time, he can close the gap to the leaders. Obviously had to make a pit stop under the safety car, not what he would have wanted potentially. Not what he would have wanted potentially to do, but it does happen. But he still finds himself P4, so still some good points and still a good position potentially maybe for the reverse grid race in a few moments' time. On the back though of John Banter is GT, who is some fresh super soft, looking eager to get his way through. It's only for P15, but they still have to fight hard for every little position through the swimming pool chicane. Then they go into Raskas. Is he going to be close enough on this occasion? No, not quite. Callum into the pit lane, bolting on some super soft tyres. To the outside goes GT. Pretty plain sailing move. Ian for the win. Looks like we've got an Ian fan. He's 6 seconds back off the lead at the moment. Might take a bit of a mistake from Rural Harvey to see him close that gap. But never say never in racing. It's very, very unpredictable, and I'm sure that's why we all love the sport. So never say never. Anything can happen. But Rural Harvey doing a great job of controlling the race as it stands. He's doing a pretty good job. Had a bit of a poor start. If you didn't see it, had a bit of a poor start further back. Fell back to about 4th, but after the safety car found himself leading the race, and he's doing a pretty good job of keeping it that way in this race. And it looks like Ian's lapping the Ferrari Driver Academy. Is that GT car? Is that the ART Grand Prix. Not often you see those guys lap. They won the championship in, was it 2018? Oh no, 2019 with Nick de Vries, wasn't it? Well, here's the Slayer getting up into P9 after DC comes into the pits in Yuki Tsunoda's, or no, Jehan Deruvala's Carling racing car. So here he goes then. He's a little bit behind, but he has got the fresher tyres, the fresher rubber than the P9 driver in front, who's looking eager to hang on to that in Roy Nassani's Trident Racing. He's closing the gap pretty quickly. Let's see if he can get onto the back of him. Callum as well, further back on his fresh tyres, looking eager to make some moves on John to the inside. Bit of contact, the front wing with the rear diffuser of John Banter as he peels himself into the pit lane. So Callum may have picked up some unnecessary damage there. Let's hope for his sake there's none. Doesn't look to be, but here's Beerus into the pit lane. Let's see how this pans out. Is that also Landable into the pit lane? No, there's someone else into the pit lane. It's John Banter into the pit lane with him. This is looking pretty interesting and hopefully going to shape up to be a pretty good race. But Beerus into the pits then. Let's see where he comes out. Only one gunman per tyre here in F2, so the pit stops are a lot slower compared to F1, sub 2 second. Remarkable stuff in Formula 1, but slightly slower in Formula 2. Out the pit lane then. Where's he going to come out? P8 comes out Beerus. He's on the fresh super soft tyres though to the end of the race. 8 laps to go in this race, and he's looking pretty eager to make the most of the final 8. Come on, Lando. Well, he's in P3. He's doing a very good race. Fastest car on track. Let's see how the rest of the race does pan out. Obviously, guys, need to remind you again, if you are enjoying, do make sure to like and subscribe. Also, share the video around if you do want more people to come and watch what I plan to be entertaining content. I hope it is entertaining for everyone at home. Fingers crossed it is. Here's Central Flyway though on the back of CDM, lagging out twice in this session. Currently sits P6, not too bad of a recovery drive. Here's Central Flyway though in Callum Ilot's UNI to the inside of Nouvelle Chicane. No, gonna have to sit station for the time being as it stands. Very close on the braking and really pushing him through the chicane there. And Kings is subscribed. Cheers, man. Appreciate that. Through to back then goes Central Flyway and into the swimming pool section. So fast through there, nearly flat out in Formula 2 cars. Ian and Lando both into the pit lane, strapping on those super soft tyres. Here's Central Flyway to the inside. No, he's losing time behind the high-tech Grand Prix car, and into the pits goes CDM. And that's going to be a pretty easy move for Central to make. Here's Lando out of the pit lane, and he's on the soft tyres, interestingly enough, not opting for the super softs, similar to everyone else. Very interesting stuff then from the Prema team. He's got the pace. Maybe he doesn't want to worry about conserving tyres or conserving fuel. He wants to go flat out. He wants to use the full extent of these soft tyres and make sure they go to the end. But when he's pushing him lap after lap after lap, ENMC comes out P3 in Yuki Tsunoda's Carling racing car in P3, doing a remarkable job. Royal Harvey as well was into the pit lane. He comes out still in the race lead. Infamous sticking it out on those 11 lap old soft tyres. Very interesting stuff then from him in Nikita Mazepin's high-tech Grand Prix car. We've obviously seen Nikita Mazepin driving for Haas F1 team in the 2021 season. It'd be interesting to see how he fares against Michael Schumacher's son Mick Schumacher in the other Haas seat on the other side of the garage. Interesting little teammate battle down there at Haas. Let's hope it's going to be a good one, and there's no love lost down at Haas. But here is DC on the back of Slayer then for P8. This is going to be for reverse grid pole. I don't think they're too concerned about the gap points between P8 and 9. They just want the pole position for the next race. As it stands, Slayer will start first and DC will start 9th. So DC wanting to get onto the back of Slayer and really push and overtake him. This is for reverse grid pole. He's got the fresher tyres, 1 second adrift. Now into the GRS range, as we saw, was that Beerus set the fastest lap time, going purple to the lap. But here we are then, DC on the back of Slayer, who goes a little bit deep through Sandevot. These are the mistakes that DC can make the most of and pounce on and really strike and get past Slayer. He just needs to put his nose in, show him that he's chasing him down, play the mental game and try and bait him into a mistake. Let's hope for his sake he can do so. But into Mirabeau then they go. DC on the back of the Trident racing car. Also got Beerus on the back of Central Flyway. This is for P6. Central Flyway holding on pretty well. DC and Slayer looking to have a bit of a tussle. Spooner into the pit lane once again. Here's Beerus though, he's closing and closing, he's on the super soft compared to the red mark soft. Raw Harvey responds with an even faster lap of a 1:20.5. Landerbot as well on the back of Sarge. These two looking to have a bit of a spicy battle. Through swimming pool they go then. DC with a 3-second time penalty. Don't forget though, Lando has got a 3-second time penalty to contend with. We'll flip between them in DRS into Sandoval. Is he going to have a look to the inside? A bold move to make, closing under braking. Bit of a love tap and he's driven Sarge into the wall nearly. Up the inside goes Lando, and with Sarge a little bit compromised on the inside there, managed to swoop his way through. Here is Beerus trying to get his way through on Central Flyway. On the other UNI Virtuoso, you currently find themselves 5th and 6th. Is that going to last for long though? Here's Slayer, who after being under pressure from DC finds himself 1.5 seconds clear, and on the back of the UNI Virtuosi car, really pushing him through Casino Square in his Dams racing car. To the inside of Mirabeau though, he set up a nice exit up the inside. Is it enough? Really going to try and get it up there. There's contact and Central Flyways into the wall through Mirabeau. Tried to take the racing line, but just found himself meeting their good friend Barrier instead. Wow, big bit of contact then from his car, and he's got a massive bit of front wing end plate damage. Beerus controlling the inside, decided to take the racing line. Central Flyway turning in, bounced off his car straight into the barrier then, and well, I'd have to say that's a racing incident. Central Flyway probably should have backed out of the one. He's really understeering through the tunnel, and he's going to have to crawl that one back to the pits. Big shame from him though, and Beerus finds himself up into P3. Landerbot finds himself into P4. He's now 3 seconds clear, so the penalty won't even matter. He's trying to chase down Infamous maybe for P3. He's got the fresher tyres. Let's see how this plans out. Central Flyway with 3 seconds of time penalties. What a move from Lando. Well, it was a good move, it must be said, but it was a bit of a tap into Sandoval. Sent him a bit wide, and it gave Sarge a compromised run, but let's be honest, Lando was getting through anyway. He was going to be soaring down the inside. Slayer up into 7th. DC on to reverse grid pole, and Flyway compromised a very good position in the reverse grid race down in P9. Lap 18 of 21, 4 laps to go in this race, shaping up to be a pretty decent one. We've had a nice bit of tussles, bit of contact further down the grid as well, but Raw Harvey driving such a consistent race here at Monaco. 7.5 seconds clear of his nearest competitor, and just completely and utterly just dominating. No close battles on track at the moment, so we'll go on board with Raw Harvey. He's doing a very good job of leading the race. DC slowly closing on the Slayer though. We'll keep an eye at that gap. He's in to the DRS as Frenzy is into the pit lane. Here's Raw Harvey through Sandoval and up Beau Rivage through into Casino, chucking it in third gear, getting the rotation he needs, using the throttle to turn the car as well, opening up the next preceding right hand. A bit of a wall tap though from the MP Motorsport into Mirabeau. He goes second gear, really using the camber on the inside on the run into the lowest hairpin. The slowest corner on the circuit, on the calendar, around about 30 miles an hour. For reference, a corporate go-kart, its top speed is about 35 miles an hour, so they're crawling around about go-kart speed. Through the tunnel he goes then, flat out, and through into the Novel chicane, a very famous corner where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have a bit of a touch in their little duel for the race lead in 2019. And here he goes then through into to back, chucking it in by the old tobacco store. Bit of a wall tap again, coming through swimming pool though, chucking it in left, right into the next swimming pool chicane, altered in around about 2010, and into Raskas, then braking very nicely, running it very tight to the wall, hopefully not clipping it. Infamous with another 3-second time penalty. Let's have a little look at the situation. So Landerbot will be finishing on the podium as it stands. He's got 6 seconds of a little bit of a buffer between himself and Infamous, and all he needs to do is stay within 6 seconds. He's also closed the gap to around about 3.5, so maybe he can be onto the back of him by the end of the race. We're onto the penultimate lap of the race now though, lap 20 of 21. We've also got DC on the back of the Slayer. Let's see how this one pans out as well. Not too many crashes though, it must be said. I'm surprised. I thought we were going to see a lot more DNFs in today's race, but everyone keeping it very clean, so respect to them for that. his DC though, on the back of the Slayer, looking eager to get his way through. They're now onto the penultimate lap as well. Landobot chasing down Infamous very wide through Lowe's hairpin. He's been struggling with that all race actually, getting the car turned in, but 3 Portier then really attacking it, giving it everything, catching and catching and gaining onto the back of Infamous. Let's see what he can do. 2 seconds adrift into the Noval chicane. Let's see if he can close up. It's one thing driving up to him, it's another thing getting past him. Let's see what he can do. No rash moves either from the Prema. He needs to think this one through. He's got a lap and a half to go, and he's going to get the position on penalties. But is he going to give us a bit of reaction on the way? His DC on the back of the Slayer though, through Portier, and on the run into the tunnel in his Carlin F2 car through the tunnel. Then you can hear the engine echo as they run through flat out 160 miles an hour as they reach the Noval chicane. Landobot within DRS as they round onto the final lap of the race. Then this is it. This is it for today's feature race. We're onto the final lap, and this is got to be where he gives it everything to get through on Infamous, who's really nursing those tyres home on 17 lap old soft tyres. Just needs to park it really. He's going to lose the position anyway, but let's see if he can put on a bit of a fight. Really pushing him through Casino though is Lando to the inside of Mirabeau. Nope. Gonna have to sit station. Infamous really aiming himself at the apex onto the back of him. GT has retired from the session. It looks like he's just called it a day in the pit lane. He's going to be starting towards the back of the grid for the reverse grid race. Here's Lando on the back of Infamous though. Here we go. On the back of him through into the tunnel. Really hear him echoing, and through the slipstream, sitting back behind him, letting him push his way through. Defensive, and to the outside goes the Prema. Not quite going to be able to go for the move. Here he goes then, setting up a cutback on the run in a 2 to back. The Prema going up against the high-tech, chucking it through to back, then third gear, really giving it everything on his fresher tyres. There's Callum with a 3-second penalty on the last lap. Across the line will be Royal Harvey to win the race in just a moment's time, but here is Landobot to the inside, potentially. No, going to have to try and set up a cutback. Royal Harvey is your race winner. There's a bit of contact. He's sent him spinning around. Ian in second, Infamous and Lando, a drag race to the line. Who's it going to be? Infamous crosses the line, P3, but with penalties, Lando takes the final podium place, a thing I'm sure Kings will be very, very happy to hear. But here's Sarge then crawling around again with very old tyres, and to finish a very nice P5 for the Unai Virtuosi guys. Here's Beerus well across the line to finish a nice P6 as well. Slayer still under pressure from DC, who's really trying to put the pressure on him, but just ran out of time and tyres. Across the line they go then, and the Slayer hanging on very well to finish P7. A bit of a weave across the line, very nicely done, and Slayer follows him in P8. So DC takes the position, so on reverse grid pole will be the Slayer. This is going to be an interesting battle between these two then. CDM, after lagging out twice and rejoining, finds himself in a nice P9. Good position for him. Aces versus Kings through the final corner then, as everyone else has already finished due to being lapped. Across the line then for the final points playing position. Across the line P10 for Aces versus Kings. His Central Flyway a few seconds later. He finishes P11, and that was the first feature race of tonight here at round 5 at Monaco. Good bit of racing, bit of carnage, and we're going to go to the reverse grid sprint race in just a moment. Beerus takes a very nice driver of the day, and I do have to agree. Well, I have to say, for me personally, has to be your race winner of Royal Harvey. He just drove such a consistent race, kept it clean, kept his nose clean, kept out of trouble, and drove a very good race, and he deservedly so moonwalks across to the top step of the podium to collect his trophy and lifts it in celebration. Very good race from him as we go to the champagne. But the rundown of the first feature race, then we're going to go to the sprint race very soon. Royal Harvey takes the win and the fastest lap, max amount of points. Ian MC in second, Landobot in third. The pole man not having the best bit of racing, but Infamous P4, Sarge P5, Beerus P6, DC P7, the Slayer P8, CDM P9, Aces vs Kings in P10, Central Flyway in P11, there's Spooner in P12, Callum P13, Frenzy P14, John P15. The DNFs were GT and Bolt. Not too shabby. No, well done, Callum. CDM. Callum? CDM. Good bit of racing from you, mate. Good recovery drive despite the lag out. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain freeze there. Cracking comms. Cheers, Kings. We're going to be... It's not over just yet, though, so you've still got a little bit to enjoy it. We've got around about 20-minute sprint race left to go, and it's pouring it down a rain. It's pouring it down a rain. The Saturday feature race has been followed up by a pouring, heavy, wet, full, extreme wet condition sprint race. This is going to be interesting then, everyone. Looks like weather is going to play a factor today then. Who's going to be keeping it clean in these already tricky to drive Formula 2 cars? Who's going to be keeping it clean already? It's going to be an interesting one. Just need to get to the end of the race. Monaco's hard enough, let alone in Formula 2 cars, and let alone in the wet. This is going to be a nice, well, interesting race. Let's say that. Just going to save that video clip ready for the highlights reel. And we'll get started with another one just now. CDM not too happy with the weather then. Unfortunately for him. Well, have to see how it plans out, mate. You might be a wet weather master, just like Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen. Who knows? Or you might just completely bottle it, spin at turn 1 and your race is over. Who knows? Could go either way. I hate the rain. Oh, here we go then to the lights. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here at Monaco. Lights out for the sprint race, and it's a very, very tentative start from everyone then as they try and crawl their way towards turn 1. Very sideways though is DC, and Slayer leads into turn 1. Bit of contact from Sarge, who gets a bit of a run into the wall. There's Infamous on the inside, and Landerbot looking eager to get himself up some positions as well. Crawling up Beau Rivage, then side by side go CDM and Raul Harvey. There they go then, Raul Harvey on the inside. Last week's race winner on the inside, starting in 8th place. Here they go then, crawling through Casino. Landerbot looking eager to get himself up a couple of positions, setting up a cutback. Nicely done there. Bit squirm on the exit though, and not going to be able to hang on just as well to the inside. Maybe he's got everyone crawling behind him as it stands, but the Slayer holding on remarkably for the race lead, and DC after a pretty tentative start to the inside goes Raul Harvey on Ian though. Very, very big send, and Ian trying to keep it around the outside, coming to a complete stop through the lowest hairpin. We've got yellow flags to sector 2 as there's been a bit of contact further back. Raul Harvey completely sideways there and onto the run into the tunnel. Ian sideways. This is for P7. The 2 guys that were battling in the race previously completely drive through the tunnel, and they're going to have a lot more grip and then lose it all as they come onto the run into the Novel chicane. Looks like Beerus has gone for a complete and utter big send further back, and he's been completely mugged off by everyone though as he concedes the position. Might have gone a bit deep. He holds on to P3 though. Slayer hanging on pretty well further back. Oh, further back up the front, and he's doing really well. Yellow flags in sector 2 is that GT round. Whoa, goes in deep though, goes DC, and Beerus up the inside. Great bit of opportunistic racing from him then. He's also under pressure from Sarge, looking eager to get around the outside. He's got Infamous and Lando as Ian has clipped the wall further back. Here comes Sarge into the pit lane then. Ian clipping the wall on the inside. He's under pressure from Harvey. He's looking around the outside. Bit of contact with the wall, and there's CDM trying to get past as well. Goes to through. Raul Harvey, the race winner, into the barrier then. There's yellow flags through sector 3. Here's Landerbot on the back of Infamous then. This is for P4. Virtual safety car though, and everyone's going to have to crawl around at 40% race speed delta and crawl around. GT Fanatic retiring from the session in the pit lane. Very, very chaotic start then from everyone as they were looking to make up the positions, but Landerbot up a couple, Bull up a few positions, up 6th. But everyone crawling around at 40% race speed delta until we get underway for green flag racing once again. Looking close at the front, let's see maybe a bit more racing in the wet than we see in the dry, because it's that much tricky. Here we go then, back under green flags, and Slayer has had a monster of a restart though. He's really under pressure from Beerus then for the race lead. Here he goes, Beerus, lap 2 of 15. Bit of a tap from the driver to the inside into the Novel chicane. No, gonna have to hold station as it stands for the time being through the Novel chicane. Then he's all over the back of the Trident driver into the back. Then we've also got Landerbot looking eager to get past the high-tech driver of Infamous then through to back and into the swimming pool chicane. It's pretty much a swimming pool out there for these drivers anyway. They're really having to crawl their way around, aquaplaning all over the place, and I'm sure they're going to be running dry setups as well. Into Raskas then, looking to the outside. Callum with a 3-second penalty, trying to set up the cutback though is Beerus. not at the moment. Going to be finding his way through, though. Bit of a sideways moment for the race leader. Slayer under pressure, and there goes Beerus up the inside, nearly making a bit of contact, having to avoid him though, and there he goes, soars into the race lead, does Beerus, with some great pace, sideways through Sanderbot though, really nearly hitting the curb on the outside. Landerbot also finds himself up into P4, there's another VSC, is that Aces versus Kings? Someone went straight on to turn 1, there's another VSC though, as it looks as though Callum has binned it through to back, so 2 retirements on the lap 3. In 21 laps, we only had 2 retirements in the last race. It looks like the wet weather really challenging everyone today. Another virtual safety car in 2 laps then. Crawling around again at 40% race speed delta. Landobot up 2 positions. Ian up 2 positions. And CDM up 3. The most positions gained is Bull, who's just kept his nose clean, making the most of everyone's misfortune. Under VSC they go then, crawling around and looking eager. This top 5 fight for the race lead. Here we go then, back under green flag racing, and the Slayer looking eager to reclaim the race lead then. 3-car train for the race lead. Infamous trying to get onto the back of him. Here's Beerus though, under pressure from these 2 drivers. Landerbot looking to get up the inside as well. Back into the wet weather. Yellow flags through sector 2 already. It looks like someone's spun. Is that Bolt King? After having such a good start, has spun round further back. Bit of a calamity further back then, flirting with disaster. You're always flirting with disaster here at Monaco, but it looks as though is that Bolt King. Yeah, he's in the wall and he's stopped on track unfortunately. So Yellow flags through sector 2, very sideways from Slayer, having to save it. It's going to put him under pressure from Infamous, who can't quite find a way through. Beerus though really commanding the way then. To the outside goes Infamous. This is allowing Lando a bit of a tap though, as he finds himself meeting his good friend Barry. Yellow flags through sector 3, bit of debris. Is that also Ian round? Ian has gone round again, and Raskas clipped the rear wheel and sideways through the last corner, but Landerbot into the pit lane then for a new front ring. I'm guessing Infamous with a 3-second time penalty as well, just to top it off. He's on the back of Slayer, who can't quite keep the pace with Beerus. Beerus, Rainmaster then, he's got the pace and he's gone. He's gone. He's taken his receipt, he's gone to checkout, and he's very much checked out. As such though, sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:38.462. He is certainly on a charge. Here's Aces versus Kings though, on the back of CDM as well, who's looking to get involved on this pretty spicy fight for P2. Infamous all over the back of Slayer, who's really having to park it around this infield section through Portier. John Banter down a position as well, further back. Must have had a bit of a spin, but here they go then through the tunnel side by side. It looks like Infamous has managed to get the cut back, and he's up into P2. Great bit of move from the high-tech down the inside. Can Slayer get it up the inside? No, not quite into Novel Chicane, unfortunately for him and CDM. Everyone seems to be lining up to have their turn on him. Sideways coming out of Nouvelle Chicane though. Very, very close call to the wall from CDM, who's looking to chase after the Trident up in front of him. And he's looking eager to find himself onto the podium. But who's that into the wall? There's Yellow flags through sector 2. It looks to be DC in the wall further back. So not the start he would have wanted. We're on to lap 4 of 15, nearly a third of the way through. And through the final corner, Beerus responds with an even faster lap of a 1:33 as he extends his lead to 4.5 seconds over in front. 6/10 is the gap between 5th and 4th through Sandevot, taking a tighter line to hit the inside easier. Gives him a slightly slower run, but does work on the inside sometimes. As Sarge has found himself in to the pit lane, or no, that's his teammate into the pit lane for some fresh extreme wet tyres. Looks like these extreme conditions are proven challenging. Here's Landobot though, up into P9 in some clear air. Nice bit of clear pocket of air to show some speed. He's setting at 38 zeros though, 5 seconds adrift of what we saw of Beerus. Here he is though, up Beau Rivage. CDM taking complete and utter liberty of that inside curb there. Gives him a very tight line for Portier. And here goes Aces versus Kings, setting up a nice cutback sideways out of the tunnel as CDM tries to eagerly defend his position off the Trident. He's in a bit of a Trident sandwich. Trident in front, Trident behind, to the inside of the Nouvelle Chicane. Not quite close enough on this occasion. Through the Nouvelle Chicane then, getting the power down very nicely, trying to get back on to the back of the high-tech in front of him. Sideways goes Spooner behind him, and ENMC trying to recover from his spin earlier as well. There's Royal Harvey spun round again, or lost the position to his the Campos of Bolt right in front of him. But further up, we've got Aces versus Kings on the back of CDM, who despite hating the rain, isn't doing too shabby up in P4. Up 5 positions from his starting point as well. Yellow flags in Sector 3. Who's that? Maybe a bit of contact between Spooner and Ian, who finds himself sending it up the inside into Raskask. A nice bit of move from him, keeping it clean this time. Does Ian? Is it Aces versus Kings though? Into Sandoval for the 6th time of 15, all over the back of CDM as Landerbot picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to be added on to the end of his race. Through into Casino then goes the Trident all over the back of CDM, looking very eager to get himself onto the back. Second, third gear, short shifting up and on the run into Mirabeau. Not quite going to be able to get it stopped. Landerbot though, 33.0. Great lap time from him, showing his pace early and with the clear air, looking like he's setting some very nice lap times there and looking to hopefully go for an overcut. Maybe when people, or an undercut, sorry, when people come into the pits. Obviously the undercut where you pit lap 8 earlier, maybe have the clear air, maybe have the fresher tyres. You're going to have the fresher tyres with the guy in front. Is CDM very sideways there, and he's going to lose the position to Aces versus Kings there as I was rambling on up the inside. Well, round the outside goes Aces versus Kings, and he finds himself into P4. So CDM really struggling out of Portier, and he's going to be eager to reclaim that position as Ian finds himself back behind Spooner. And it looks as though Raw Harvey has had a bit of a mishap in Sector 1. He's on the back of Bolt King up the inside, really powering himself up the inside. Very bit of nice move then from the MP Motorsport around the outside. There's the Campos on the inside there. Around the outside then, great move from Royal Harvey, the feature race winner, and finds himself up into P9 then. Not the best start from him, but still doing a good job of keeping it there. And who's that round? Is that Aces versus... No, that's Slayer round from P3. There's Aces versus Kings, who must have got caught up in it as well, and CDM up into 3rd then. Great bit of racing from him to find himself up into P3. There he goes then. Very opportunistic move then from the high tech, but the Slayer very sideways, and Aces versus Kings very sideways, who's under pressure from his teammate. Can he get himself through into Casino? No. So the Slayer really trying to keep it with the guys in front in P2 and 3. Just finds himself getting a bit sideways, lost 2 positions because of it. Landerbot even quicker with his fastest lap, and there going very, very quickly then. Let's see how that pans out for the rest of the race. Aces versus Kings then looking to re-overtake CDM. He done all that work to get in front, finds himself back behind after getting caught up in the spin from his Trident teammate. Maybe going to be some angry words there in the debrief room. Here's Ian all over the back of Spooner, really parking it on the inside, and he's pulled over to let Ian through Portier, and Ian smacked straight into the back of him. But his Slayer again must have been sideways as he's lost ground to the guys in front once again. Really tentative stuff from the guys in P3 and 4. Do not want to bottle it one bit. Here's Frenzy, he's retired from the session in the pit lane. Hopefully it won't cause a safety car. It's only yellow flags for Sector 3 as it stands. But here's CDM, here's Aces versus Kings all over the back of the high tech through the swimming pool chicane for the 8th time of 15, halfway through, and into Raskas they go. Through the final corner, chucking it through. P4 is the fight for P3. No DRS, of course, as that'd be a pretty stupid idea in the rain, it must be said, going that extra 20 kilometers faster and having no rear downforce into the first corner. That would be pretty stupid. The Slayer though into the pits then for his pit stop and smacking on some new extreme wet tyres to the end of the race. This is going to promote Landerbot up a position. He's up into 7th, and have a look at the pit stops. He's the only one of the top 7 to have stopped. He could be in a pretty good position to take the lead then once Beerus comes in. There's yellow flags through Sector 2. Here's Aces versus Kings on the back of CDM for P3. Can't quite find his way through, unfortunately, on this occasion. Through Mirabeau on the run into Lowe's hairpin. Not quite going to be close enough. Really just needs to bait him into a mistake and make the most of it, how we did it previously. Sarge also into the pits, and let's see where Landerbot can come out once everyone else's pit stops filters 3. Still have to take the pit stop in the rain, I'm pretty sure, but through the tunnel, and it looks as though Aces versus Kings is the one making the mistake this time, not CDM. So he manages to hold station for the moment then, chucking it in to the Noval chicane. Such treacherous conditions out there is what I'm trying to say. Straight line in the X possible, and Aces versus Kings are all over the back of him once again, into the back, chucking it in, full commitment in the rain despite it being wet and at Monaco, but really giving it everything through this middle section and into the swimming pool section. CDM very wide, having to take a pretty compromised run through the swimming pool chicane and into Raskas, chucking it down the gears then goes Aces versus Kings on the back of CDM. Let's see if he can launch an attack down this back pit straight, trying to sort up the exit. Really tentative on the power, not even full throttle till now. Very, very tentative on the power. Then is the Trident into Sandoval. Then he goes breaking even earlier than he would before. CDM very compromised. So is Aces versus Kings on the run up. Beau Rivage then. Is he going to be close enough in the slipstream? No, not quite going to be close enough. And he needs to sit behind once again. Again, bait CDM into that crucial mistake. When are we going to see these guys into the pits then? Or are they going to stick it out to the end of the race? Who knows? These extreme wets are very durable, displacing about 60 litres of water a second on the Formula 1 cars. Probably about 40 on the Formula 2 cars, I'm sure. But still quite a lot. That's about a fish tank worth of water displaced in every second. Through Portier then. But these are very durable, very hard rubber. And coming out Portier, here's Aces versus Kings on the back of CDM. Still got 7 people watching. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Do appreciate the support. I hope you are enjoying so far. It's been a pretty chaotic race, especially towards the start there. CDM very sideways, picks himself up another penalty, very sideways then. This is the mistake Aces versus Kings can pounce on to the inside, into the back. No, gonna have to sit station once again. So CDM catching a very, very big break then, but still has 6 seconds of penalties to negotiate with. So Aces versus Kings knows that. He's not going to be making any rash judgments, as Royal Harvey has spun round at coming out of the final corner. Was that Bolt King? It is Bolt King, unfortunately for him. But here then is Aces versus Kings on the back of CDM, still losing a bit of ground. Landebot on the back of his Prema teammate of, oh no, not Prema, SMP of Spooner. Gets through though, as Spooner is into the pit lane. So Landebot up into P6. This early pit stop coming into his own then, potentially, for Lando. So Kings, I'm sure, well, let's hope your prediction of a Landebot win is looking and looks like Aces versus Kings got very, very sideways through that middle sector there, and he's lost a bit of ground to CDM up in. Has someone hit the wall? There's debris on the right hand side. Is that a front wing of a high-tech potentially as he comes through there? Very sideways is CDM, and this is some mistakes Aces versus Kings could pounce on to find himself back on to the back. There's also yellow flags in sector 2 again. I don't know if that's just a game spell, but through the Noval chicane, then really giving everything to try and catch up 2/3 of the way through the race. And here it is then, the fight for P3. Looks like CDM may be coming into a world of his own. The penalty situation is 6 seconds for CDM, nothing for Aces versus Kings, who's now got ENMC putting the pressure on. There's yellow flags through sector 1. I believe that could be, is it Bolt again? CDM very deep. It looks like it's turning into a 3-way fight as he's into the pit lane. In is CDM, and into the pit lane. This is going to promote Landebot up a position as well. So these two opt in to stay out an extra lap, leaving it to the last second then. The third and fourth mans of Aces versus Kings finally up into the podium place. But Ian all over the back of him once again, very sideways, tapping the wall on the exit just for good measure. He's chopped off a massive slice of that front wing, and it looks like Aces versus Kings opting to just let him go, not make it too difficult for him. CDM then filtering out, not even out of the pit lane yet. And there's Landebot up the well, not up the inside, but cleanly through up into P5. Good bit of racing. And then who's playing it long game, he went early, and he's really taking these tyres well then to the end of the race. Here they go. CDM though on the back, and he's got the fresh tyres, and Spooner into the pits only a lap previously, and on the back through the Casino Square and on to the run into Mirabeau. Is he going to be able to the inside? Tucks back straight back in after he realizes what an audacious move that would be. Yellow flags on the Noval chicane. Is that just Bolt King moving out of the way? Looks to be so. Who are we going to see into the pit lane on this occasion then? CDM all over the back of Spooner, completely Tokyo drift well. Very well held then from CDM through on the run into Portier. Very nice bit of Tokyo drift then from the high tech driver, who manages to keep it in a straight line. And on the back, Landebot already on the back of Kings, who's lost in MC, so he seems to be strong. He's on the back of these guys for P3. Here's CDM on the back of Spooner. Can he get anything done? All the way through to back. Not quite. Rule Harvey has retired from the session in the pit lane, so we're not going to see any safety cars. But here's the Lando bot chasing them down. The top 3, top 4, top 3, and through Casino Square, the loop round into a quick right just before Mirabeau. He's really pushing it now, and he's all over the back of him. The pace is being shown. Ace of Vesta Kings to the inside, Lando to the outside. Not quite going to be able to get it done, but on the run through into Mirabeau, then yellow flag set. That's Bullet King again. Bit of contact with Lando as he touched the rid of Ace Kings into the lowest hairpin. Really, well, misunderstanding the closing speed and get a good run out of Portier to have a look in Noval chicane. It's sideways. That's not going to be the run that Lando needs. Through the hairpin, then he goes and on into the run of Noval. He's lost a bit of time. Going to need to close that up once again. So committed on the brakes, nearly clipping that inside wall, and really giving everything to straight line it. Not getting the exit he wants though. Bogging in third, opting for second, and then straight back up into third to get the traction through into these fast left, right, just before the swimming pool chicane. There it goes then as they loop round and in to Raskas. Can he get up the inside? No, not quite. Ian as well looking eager. One of these two going to be coming in to the pit lane, or are they going to stick it out to the end of the race? Here's Lando though, all over the back of him with a penalty. So Aces versus Kings in the best position. All of them kept his nose clean, and CDM also losing the back of Spooner. So after putting the pressure on, there's Aces versus Kings though. Bit of a love tap as well as Ian, and here's Lando bot. His move done around the outside, and well, no, there he is sideways as well, Ian. So Aces versus Kings around the outside. Mush movies. Am I doing comms on Ender's race tomorrow? Unfortunately not, man. I'm racing for Chroma on PS4, so if you do want to come check that out, I'll be streaming it on my POV. But Ian very sideways, then he got a massive bit of wing damage on this 13th lap, and he's lost the position to Aces versus Kings. And Landobot, who saws himself up into third, then very nice bit of opportunistic racing, forcing them into the mistake as Bolt has retired. So up to 5 retirements in this race now already. Through Portier then goes Aces versus Kings, and there he is. Landobot though, he's got his penalty. What is his penalty? 3 seconds he needs to pull over the Trident. He's already pulled 2. Can he pull a second more? He's got a lap and a half, well, 2.5 laps to do so. Be interesting to see that towards the end of the race. He's already got a 10th. Can he get any more? Yes, he can, out of there, and he's really using his fresh tyres to his advantage. Here's Orlando to try and claim P3 in this race, and he's already clear then of Landobot. Must movies while you ask, man. Yeah, I'll be racing though. Don't you worry about that. Be sure to check out Jack Tritton's stream on YouTube. Add Jack Tritton on YouTube as well as Jacob's stream for Ella tomorrow as well. There's Ian though. He's retired from the session. Where's that? It looks to be through the swimming pool chicane. Ian though must have had a lot of damage, and there he is though. Must have just got a fat bit of understeer straight into the wall, and that's the tyre off of Ian, who was looking so good for third, out of the race. So that's going to promote people up a couple of positions, and Ian out of the race on the penultimate lap. We're on lap 14 of 15. And Beerus really controlling it so well up in front. 13 seconds adrift over Lando, and he's doing a mighty job of it. Well, Beerus 13 seconds in front of Infamous, who's 12 seconds in front of Lando. But considering Lando's made a pit stop, he's not doing too bad either. So yeah, Lando doing a mighty job there, matching the pace of Beerus, who's just in a world of his own, socially distanced as can be, following the COVID restrictions very well. Is the Dams racing car of Sean Galeo, currently controlled by Beerus, but yeah, he's leading on to the final lap. Then we'll stay on board with him as he's looking to claim this sprint race win into Sandovot. Then let's see the master at work into Sandovot. Down the gears, second gear, clipping the curb on the inside to get the rotation. Hopefully it doesn't slip him out though. Really revving out the gears to keep the power down. Up Beau Rivage then, and on to and through Casino Square. Third gear, second gear to get the rotation. Short shifting up, so tentative on the power. John Banton with a 3-second penalty. He finds himself P11, but into Mirabeau then. here he goes. He's 3/10 down on his personal best. Probably just driving it home, I'd imagine. Doesn't want to bottle it on the last lap. Imagine the scenes. Into the lows hairpin though. First gear. Obviously, to get the rotation. Using the curb on the inside. Get it turned around. Yellow flash. Who's sector 2? Is that... no, it looks like DC straight on here at Mirabeau. And he spun it round and managed to get going again. But here's Infamous then through Portier and through the tunnel. 4th gear. 5th gear. Flat out nearly from the Dam's car down in to the Nouvelle chicane for the final time. Try not to clip the inside. 1st gear, 2nd gear to get the power. Nearly clipping that inside wall there. Not things he wanted to be doing. Into the back then, chucking it through for the final time as well. He's done such a good job of it over the last 15 laps or so through the swimming pool chicane then. He's challenged these conditions. He's rose to the occasion, has Beerus, keeping his nose clean. From reverse grid 3rd place, I believe. He finds himself leading it through the final corner. Then he goes. He's been the most consistent, kept his nose clean. He rounds the final corner and across the line. Beerus is your sprint race winner across the line, and he does it. Infamous a further 20 seconds back through Raskas and looking eager. Lando really closed up the gap then, and he's only 1.5 seconds back. Is this going to be his race on penalties? No, unfortunately not, but Infamous very sideways. Can Lando have a run on the line sideways from Infamous? This is a run to the line. Across the line, is it going to be Infamous? No, it's going to be Lando across the line. He steals it from him. P2 for Lando and Infamous P3. Here's Aces versus Kings round in the final corner as well in a nice P4, keeping it clean with no penalties. But here he goes then, short run to the line. And there he is, P4. Lando taking 2nd place then, and Spooner still negotiating. Bit of a wall tap then as we go on board with him for P5. Slayer and DC and John all finishing the race as well. And there he is, Spooner picking himself up his last 3-second penalty. Here's Central Flyway on the back of CDM though, around the outside into the swimming pool chicane. Big balls move. CDM touches the wall on the last lap. This is Sarge as well up the inside. It's CDM being completely mugged. He's completely understeered off the track, and there he is down into 8th place, and CDM from 6th down into 8th on the final lap, crawling home with a completely buggered wing. And there's Central Flyway in the UNI Virtuosi and his teammate down in P6 6 and 7 as well. Great result from these two, who look to propel themselves up in front as well, but Sarge takes it on penalties, and Central Flyway with a nice P7 finish across the line goes CDM. He's going to call it across the line. He's the last one to do it. He's out of fuel. Is the high tech, and wow, that was an intense bit of racing. Low fuel mode for CDM, unfortunate that, mate. Oh well. Spooner, your driver of the day. Again, it's easy to say the race winner, but he just drove such a good race. I'll have to give it though to Lando. Finishes a nice P2 despite making a pit stop compared to everyone else. So a nice comeback. But I'm new to F2, don't know. Well, you did a very good job out there today, but Beerus taking home the win then from 3rd on the grid. Landobot in 2nd after a pit stop that saw him fall down. He finds himself P2. Infamous rounding off the podium. Aces versus Kings in P4. Spooner P5. J Sarge P6. His teammate Central Flyway in P7. CDM P8. I'm the new F2 Drift King. Yeah, I did. I caught. I caught a couple of drifts there. There's the Slayer in P9, DC in P10, John Banter P11. The non-finishers were Ian, Bullet, Royal, Frenzy, Callum, and GT rounding off the grid. CDM, man, I have to give it to you. Your drifts, you're definitely the drift driver of the day. But Landobot taking home the most points of anyone. He propels himself up further in the standings with 33 points, 15 at 12 and 2. Nice bit of consistent results then for Lando, and taking the 2 points for fastest lap as well as the pole points for qualifying. Well, any last thoughts on that race, guys? The 7 people watching, what are your last thoughts on the race before I end the stream? Wet, yep, that's true. In very much Lando Norris terms, it was very effing wet, must be said. Anyone else care to say anything? No. Well then everyone, I have been Zach. This has been L2S Esports Formula 2 Round 5 at the Principality of Monaco. What a great race it was, it must be said. Great couple of races we saw, nice bit of contact as well. Rubbing is racing, as they do say. But that was Round 5. I've been Zach.